What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of Tim Talks, the real estate show where we talk about real estate, life, and a little bit of everything else. Ethan, roll the intro music. We are back with another episode of Tim Talks. This week we have a very special guest. His name is Ben Focus, and I'm going to ask you a little bit more about your name because the focus is part of that's everything for you.
Everything's focus.
But yeah, Ben is a local glass blower. He is an entrepreneur. He has a pretty decently sized following on social media. And I was lucky enough to run into him probably 7 or 8 months ago.
Organically.
Yeah.
Very
It was crazy, actually.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of backstory.
Yeah.
I had done this cookie project. I think I've talked about this before on this show. I'd done this cookie project. I was giving out cookies to local homes, local businesses. And I walk into this one shop and I go up to the manager, whatever, the clerk at the counter, and I was talking to her, and Ben overheard that I was a realtor and he was interested. And so we struck up a conversation.
Yes, sir.
And followed each other on Instagram and had a few conversations after that. And it's been really cool because it was just the most random interaction. But now look where we are. That's awesome.
Might say it's meant to be.
It is meant to be. So anyway, welcome to the show, Ben. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate you having me on, man.
Yes, sir. So
Honor.
yeah, absolutely. So before we get into any questions, so your name is Ben Focus, but it wasn't always Ben Focus.
It wasn't always Ben Focus. We're outing it on the show right now. I'm Ben Smith, guys. No, but for real. So I've always been Ben Smith. And then around 17 or 18, my aunt gifted me this little rock that said Focus. You might see them at Saturday market type places where they say like, I don't know, they might be called prayer stones, but they'll say like dignity, honesty, truth, whatever, little like words that mean a lot to people. And for some reason, Focus was something that she like associated with me and got me this little rock. It was probably closer to age 15 or so because it was predated me doing the actual Focus work. So she got me that, and I just kind of like set it on my desk or whatever when I was in high school, and throughout then began to start drawing these patterns and stuff. And to complete them, I would need to channel my focus energy to fill out a page of all of this intricate pattern work that I like had in my mind. And I noticed that like they would just sit undone if I didn't like really channel my energy to fill out the whole page or finish coloring it in or finish the concept that I was like thinking about. So focus became really synonymous with the process and my whole like lifestyle. So originally back then I had a Facebook page back in probably like 2010 that was called Ben's Focus. And for the longest, it was Ben's Focus, like possessive, like Ben 'S Focus. Cause it was to me, my project that I was like working on. But the nice thing about the internet is it'll like take the path of least resistance. So through that, everyone just associated with Ben Focus. That's just what they called it.
That's awesome.
That's just what it like.
So it became your name.
Yeah. Like, so for the first few years, I'm like, hey guys, it's Ben's Focus. And then like, it quickly was like, how long do you want to play that stick? Like, you know, like who cares? Dude, whatever people think it is, it's good to like lean into that, like accept it.
Thank you for sharing the story about how you kind of took on this, not just name, but whole personality and vision for your business.
Yeah.
I think, you know, from what I've seen from you on social media and in conversations that we've had, it's something that you continue to carry on in every piece of your work.
Thanks,
Yeah. And so tell us a little bit more about your business, specifically how long you've been in the business, what it is that you do, how you've grown your business.
Yeah, well, as far as business plan, I don't go too far into the future, but I got plenty of stories about the history of the come up, and I don't know where to start. So I'll start with the first thing I ever sold. When I was 15 or 16, probably 15, I began to draw these patterns, like I was saying, and got kind of funky with it, would decorate shoes or things that I had, mostly because I was bored in class and I always had a pen, and it was a satisfying means of like entertaining myself, just like drawing on things. But then one person, and I don't know this person to this day, but he approached me. I think he like messaged me on Facebook or something. And he was like, yo, dude, if I pay you $50, can you draw on some Vans for me? And I was like, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Like obviously, like how could yeah,
50,
definitely.
$50 in high school is a lot of money.
Oh yeah. I was like, duh. Yeah, cool. So I either like, I probably like picked up the Vans from him, or he probably like gave them to me in school. But I even remember where I dropped them off to him. I think I was probably still driving with my mom in the car because I probably had my permit. So it was either that or I was just 16 and I could like just meet up with him or something. But it was near a pool in an apartment complex, and I was like, "You here? Yeah." Cool. So, like,
the drop off.
Yeah. I'm already getting
felt
way
like
too
a deal.
detailed. Right, it did.
Yeah.
So like, yeah. So completed that, and I'm like, "All right, that was cool. You know, made some money off of it. Like, dope." And then another person wanted it. I was like, "Interesting. Like, you guys like both like it, and like you don't know each other. You just like both kind of like it." So I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
it's kind of started to feel some feelings.
Yeah.
So then just kind of unfolded from there. I had the challenge of navigating through college with parents who really wanted me to stay the straight and narrow and do something like the classic kind of thing where they really wanted you to do something that was predictable and safe.
Accounting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
They were never too specific, but they certainly like steered me towards anything but full time doing art.
Sure.
Because that just sounds like such a pipe dream for most people. You know, it sounds pretty risky to like actually try to jump in and do that. So then I went to college, and throughout college, I was still struggling kind of like doing this and like fully feeling like I wanted to be focused, but with a huge like elephant in the room, whereas my parents just like, I've always wanted to make my parents happy and not be like a screw up. And that's still gotten me to this day. Like I definitely don't want to be a screw up. So I was like, oh, man, how can I balance both these things? Like my parents' desires for me and my own desires. And it was like super uncomfortable in college. Like I just wanted to do it so bad, but then they were so specific about just me wanting to be safe and stuff. So I was like, this is so painful.
Mm-hmm.
So then one year I went into my advisor's office in college, and I was talking because he was pretty cool. He was a little bit younger than my parents. And I basically like pitched him what I was doing just because I was so passionate. I'm like, dude, I'm tired of kind of like playing the game to get this college thing top priority. Like this is what's top priority to me. And I pitched to him how I was selling shirts on Facebook back in 2010 or 2011. I was like pretty cutting edge. It's not like I was the first person to do it, but it was like a lot less common than it is now. So I pitched to him that I was like, dude, I have like this page and it's got 1,000 likes and people hit me up on it to buy shirts. And like, this is what I do. And he was like, so why do you need college? And my life just like changed from there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my God, I don't need college. Like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So I went home to my dorm room and I was like, okay, how do I make this all kind of like work? And just slowly but surely, I like talked to my mom and I'm like, hey, like kind of got this idea. And then I like pitched it as like, it would just be part-time because I'd like get another job and then kind of do it. So I wish it was some glamorous like cutting of the sword that was like, now you're Ben focused and now everything's cool. But it was a struggle for a few years of having a priority of a part-time minimum wage job and then like furiously hustling after getting off work, trying to make sales and do these things and like doing both of those.
Yeah. I mean, it's the path of an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
I think everyone who has ever created a successful business from the ground up without $1 million seed money, you know, has had those late nights, has had those moments where, you know, you just got off a 10-hour shift, but now you got to go, you know, work your craft for another 4 hours because that's the only time you're going to be able to get it in because you need to support yourself. And I think that is, I think that's what makes some businesses really special is that it's not just a product off a line. It's blood, sweat, and tears from you know, just years of, you know, basically cutting your teeth to get things done, which I think is pretty cool. So fast forward, now you are successful. You've been doing this for 10 years.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
10 years next August will be since I quit my retail job at Sports Authority.
Beautiful.
2013, August 2013. I quit that job and I started full time doing art, and it was so scary. It was so fun though.
That is awesome. That must have been a pretty freeing feeling to.
Oh, it was super freeing because I realized I had saved up a little money, and I was like, wait, I got a couple months. If I just like dive into this, I got a couple months that I can be okay, and then like I can do this. And sure enough, I like did it, and it was the best decision I could have ever made.
And then you discovered glass blowing.
Well, essential to the story of Ben Focus is a big high height in 2014 and 2015 when I began selling hat pins. Enamel pins are the biggest selling item that I've like ever had. So I
remember you telling me that. Yeah.
Enamel pins went crazy. So that's a big collector thing in many communities, like music and anything else. And around that time, artists began to get onto it and be like, oh, you make limited edition pins. And it's this little bite-sized chunk of art that people can ravenously consume because it's $15, $20 or whatever, which most people have to spend on their favorite artists. So it became a really effective way of getting the art out to people. So like right before New Year's 2014, so like just December 2013, I made my first hat pin. And that was kind of like, took a couple $100 to make it. And like, you know, I don't know if this is going to work, but it was just like leap of faith. Like, let's try it and see if it works. And it like definitely worked. I sold the first ones and became aware of a community of buying and reselling. So, you know, long before I made pins, people have already been collecting pins, and there's heavy groups back then on Facebook of people buying and reselling pins for like higher numbers to their compadres. So I kind of got plugged into that, and I kind of plugged myself into that because I like became aware of these groups, started messaging and forming relationships with people, and then trading into it. So I would trade 10 packs of my hat pins for other people's stuff.
Oh, nice.
And I'd be like, okay, like let's get rid of these things. Let's get them out there. And that was a more liquid way of doing it.
Yeah.
And people don't have to cash out. They're like, sure, dude. Like it looks like I could off your pins for a couple bucks or whatever.
Yeah.
So I used that to my advantage, and I offed a bunch of like packs of stuff for trade. And then all of a sudden the first pin was sold out because there's no more, because I like offed a bunch for trade and like everything. So I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool because now people want the first one and they can't get it.
Yeah.
So they're going to pay more for it. So use that and roughly repeated that method for 3, 4, 5 pins until I didn't need to trade any out because people were buying the packs off me and they were reselling them and they were making money off of them.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I hit this unique sort of niche where I guess the like designs that I did were more desirable and people just began trading them. And like the continuity of Focus has always been a really big keystone of the brand. So like when you see a Focus image, they all look relatively focused. So
it's like almost I don't know if hieroglyphic is.
I love it. I love hearing what people like say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that it? Yeah.
That is what when I see it, I see very like, kind of almost Aztec art.
Yeah.
It's got a very Aztec.
I've been asked so much about it that I know now just to call it my interlocking pattern design.
Nice. Okay.
Because that's what it is. The shapes all interlock together.
They do.
And there's different objects and patterns that I fit into it. So that's a little more easy for me than like trying to say hieroglyphics or like this is an ancient Mayan inspired.
Ancient Mayan technique.
It's pretty funny because people will just come at you with that and be like, you're inspired by the ancient Mayans. And I'm like, bet.
Have you heard that? Have you heard that?
Oh yeah. Dude. People will say everything about like how it looks to them. They'll be like, I see what you're doing. You're looking at that. And I'm like, it's cool, man. I'm not really. I'm really just vibing.
Yeah.
But you're like, yeah.
That's awesome. So what are you doing right now? Like, what is your big focus right now?
My big focus right now is glass blowing. So I make one of a kind pieces of art blowing glass now. Glass blowing is coming up a lot in the past few years, and the craft and medium is having an explosion of intricacy and things that are available to be done with it. With the literal craft is evolving really rapidly. So that brings tons of fun possibilities for a maker like me for making super unique, one of a kind pieces.
Yeah.
So within the realm of glass blowing, though, I engrave lots of stuff. So imagine just making like a blank glass thing, and then I can put my patterns all over it by engraving it with a little rotary tool that I like etch away at the thing. And then you can like put your pattern on stuff.
Yeah, it's really awesome. I've seen a lot of your work on Instagram. Imagine what he's wearing right now on his sweatshirt, but on a piece of glass. It's pretty amazing. And I mean, I often think to myself, how the hell did he do that? How did he get it on there? Right. I would lose patience. Yeah. It's amazing. It's really, really impressive. But like you said there, you found your niche, which as we roll through a series of entrepreneurs that we bring on this show, that's a really important thing to remember is find your niche. Don't go where, honestly, you go where you want to go, but make sure that where you're going has a specific, like there's a specific market for it, right? You found a need for hat pins. You found a need for people who wanted something put on their vans, right? You found a market for people that wanted these pieces of glass.
Yeah. But bigger than that, I found a market for people who want someone they can believe in.
Yeah.
That's carried me throughout all of this because I have collectors, some that have been around for 8 or even 10 years probably, who occasionally will message me and just say like, keep it up, keep doing your thing. So like, while I've kind of hopped genres a little bit, I think that more than anything has kept people like okay with purchasing from me or interested in purchasing from me is like my persona and my commitment to the craft and like my vibe.
Yeah.
Like I'm always going to be Ben focused. So like that can be really attractive for people to have someone consistent like that who they like can believe in.
Yes.
Like, you're doing it.
I love that. I love that because that strikes another really important thing when you're building your own business is, and it's something that I've been told a lot. When I first started in real estate, I was worried that there would be people out there or people groups that didn't like my style or they didn't, they didn't vibe with me, that kind of stuff. I was worried about that. Right. But then I realized probably similar to what you realize is that, well, then those are not my people, right? The people that do appreciate what I have and do want me to be my most genuine and authentic self are going to appreciate that. I think that's really important to understand and realize because I think we can spend a lot of time being worried that people are not going to like our brand or appreciate our brand. But if you're just genuine and you are like you said, you'll always be Ben focused. That's not going to change. Yeah. Then people are going to be drawn to that because what you said is what people want more than anything is something that's authentic.
Yeah. To believe in.
Something to believe in. That's really good. I love that.
Someone to believe in, Yeah. They don't mind if it's a person that they like low key or jealous of. They just want to see someone that's like doing it.
And so stability.
It's possible.
The stability of you always being Ben focused. Yeah. Because we do live in a world where things are constantly shifting and changing and there's not a ton of stability. Yeah. And so having a figurehead that's like, I always know that Ben's going to be putting his reels out that, his inspirational reels, right?
People have gone crazy with those.
Yes. But that's because it's good content, right? That is art in and of itself, right? You're not creating something with your hands, but the motivation, if you go, this is a quick plug for Ben, go follow his Instagram. It's Ben_focus.
It's _ Ben Focus _.
Okay, _ Ben Focus _. Yep. Make sure to follow that on Instagram. You got 16,000 followers now?
I got like approaching 15.
Approaching 15. Okay.
Get us over 15. Let's go.
Get him over 15. but not because you want it, not for charity. This guy has some serious content. Yeah. And I've swiped up on your stories. I don't know how many times because I was like, the motivation that he's giving me now.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah. He's an artist, right? He's painting pieces of glass, but he'll get on there and he'll be himself. He'll be Ben Focus, the guy who's going to get you motivated in the morning to get out and get your shit done because that's the kind of guy he is, right? Yep. So, I kind of went off on a rant there, but I think that's really important to understand in building your business. If you're an entrepreneur, in any type of business where you are your brand,
it's okay to be polarizing. You know? And I've had an imperfect journey towards that. There's been many times in my career where I've tried to placate different types of people and play to people who I think might eventually give me money or attention or whatever. And it's easy to see in hindsight that is sort of corny and doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know, it's just sort of you trying to avoid pain when you want everyone to kind of like you. You end up having only people will kind of like you.
Yeah.
You know, they're only really going to love you when you're polarizing. Like when you think of your favorite, like kind of crazy person, they're like your favorite because they're polarizing. You know, they're like, some people don't like that.
They're not going to change to get what they want.
Yeah.
They're going to be who they are.
Yeah. And those like reels and stuff that pump you up, those stories, dude, some people hate them. It's funny. And
They hate them?
Yeah. Some people will hate them.
How?
Well, it's because they think it's corny. So they'll think that it's not coming from somewhere genuine, or it's rehearsed, or it's this, that, and the other. You know, they have any kind of reason. But when I get hate, I'm like, oh, I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
Because you want to be polarizing a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that. That's really good stuff. I did want to ask you a couple questions. We've really just gotten into things and it's been awesome. So honestly, I'm going to let my questions kind of go, except for this one. What's been the most challenging piece of building your business and your brand?
Oh, man, my mind's racing. Lots of challenges. The least challenging to me is usually making the thing or drawing.
Sure.
Because it's just fun and that's what I like to do. So that's the least challenging. Oh man, probably the back end. So there's many different ways to approach an artistic lifestyle. Many people choose to do a sort of unhinged, unofficial thing that they can ride out for many years, even until they die. And what I'm referring to is like not paying taxes or not sort of treating it as an actual business. There's tons of different ways you can approach this, and many different people choose their own preference of way. But I had some turmoil with myself of how legit do I want to go, because many of my associates, I guess that sounds so official, many people around me were just having their own choices of how legit they want to make things. And I haven't been around a ton of people who have been successful doing all this.
Sure.
So I've had lots of different influences from people suggesting their own method as the one everyone should choose.
Yeah.
So it's like pretty common for artistic types of people to not be legitimate business people, or just sort of really fumble that aspect of it. So the biggest challenge for me has been becoming legit, or sustaining being legit.
Yeah. No.
For years, and keeping my head above water.
Yes.
It's actually led to a huge downfall after my previous boom of the hat pins.
Sure.
I accumulated so much money that at such a young age, that I didn't know how to manage it. Wanted to go legit, paid taxes, and lost like everything.
Sure.
In a story that you might hear elsewhere, can be gone greater into detail. It was a pretty big part of my life that I made a bunch of money and lost it at age 23, and then 24 I was like back living with my parents.
Oh.
So
how old are you now, by the way?
Just turned 30.
Oh, okay. You're 30?
Yeah, 30.
Good Lord, you got to be the youngest 30-year-old, youngest looking 30-year-old I've ever seen.
Really? Now?
I'm serious, man.
Yeah, I got gray hair.
Wow.
I got gray hair.
I thought you were like 25.
No, I'm 30.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened? What was it a mistake you made?
Yeah.
What happened along the way, and how did you?
So I always have the dilemma of whether I drop the numbers or not.
Sure.
So let's just drop the numbers, and if we need to cut it out or not.
Yeah.
So when I was 23, I made over 500K selling pins in a year.
Oh my
it was like
God.
550, which is like 1,200 a day. Like I was ripping so hard when I was 23. I knew how to do the Facebook thing. I knew how to make the product. I knew how to like manage the group that I had. I knew how to like tickle the hype. To keep the hype tickled. Oh my God, yeah, I made it rip. So yeah, made a bag when I was 23. Was so happy that I could distance myself from people who were previously controlling my life, aka my parents. I was like, guys, sorry, I don't need to listen to you anymore. You know, respectfully, like, peace, let's go. But then the end of that year, sort of like when the dust started to settle, my dad was like, hey, are you gonna pay taxes? And that was like a pretty unfamiliar thing to me, because I was like, I don't know. Like, I think I paid taxes the previous year when I probably made like 20K or 40K or whatever.
Because you're working.
Yeah, because I was like, no, the previous year I was 2014, the year before, I was like, just had quit the job, was like living at my parents a little bit, had a place for my own a little bit, was like the hype was bubbling, the money was coming, and I was like, so I like, I'm pretty sure I paid taxes the year before, and I was just like, yeah, whatever. Like, okay. I had a bag saved up too, because I tried to be as smart as possible. I knew that this type of money does not come to some people in their whole entire life.
Yeah.
So you better respect it and treat it well. And like, I had a bunch of money saved to the tune of 130 grand I had saved. And I was like, cool. If I got 130 racks, I'm going to be fine with whatever happens. Like, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And so I was feeling really gung ho because I'd had this really successful business year, a lot of it based on my decisions. Like, I was just like the guy running it, and I made it run up super hard. So I was feeling very confident. And I thought, okay, taxes, like, that could be a huge hit, but I'm willing to take it because like I see myself as a business owner who can employ people and give people other than myself a piece of this pie. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
This is more than enough for many people. Like, let's do this legit. Let's do it. So I was like thinking to myself, I'm like, all right, what's it going to be? 50K? Like, that would be pretty crazy, right? If I had to go in somewhere and they just asked me for 50 grand, like, okay, man, like, let's do it. I think I can do that. So I just Googled get taxes done. And it was like some place downtown Portland. And I bring all my things, I print everything out, I go there, and I'm like, okay, so I got this business, had a successful year. I want to submit my stuff for taxes.
Yeah, I want to do them taxes.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
And they were like, all right, bet, cool. And I was sitting in that little office, not unfamiliar to this. And
we will not drop anything. We will not drop anything on your head like that.
Better not tell me anything, man. No, but so I was like sitting around with these like people 10 years older than me, and I'm like, all right, guys, what do you think? Am I gonna owe like 50 grand? Because I kind of think, right, I made a bunch of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like looking over the numbers, and they're like, yeah, I mean, maybe it's probably gonna be less than that. Like, maybe, I don't know. And I'm like, all right, bet. So I kind of got that under control. Like, that's going to be a big hit, but I can do this. Okay. So I go home, and I think it took a month or two for them to even process everything. And never forget the day I got a bill in the mail from the IRS, and I'm like, all right, this kind of sucks. All right. So I like go open it up, and it's for 131 grand. And if you remember what I previously referenced, I had 130 saved. Like, dead ass, like, saved so hard. And I was like respecting this 130 grand. I was like, I cannot believe this came into my life. This is so incredible that I made this much money. Like, I never want to disrespect this in any way. And like, that was gone.
Wow.
Like, I just got chills because it was such a moment. Like, to say you want to like puke is an understatement. Like, I just felt like my life like ended. I was like, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
Like, my money's gone.
Yeah.
So at that young age, when that happened to me, I lost my confidence. So for a few years after that, I really pitter pattered and couldn't come up with the same heat, couldn't bring that energy that had got me there.
Yeah. I can only imagine, because you're playing with like really high stakes at that point.
Yeah, it felt super high. And I was just like, just 2 or 3 years prior to that, I was working for, I think it was like $11 an hour at Sports Authority, maybe even like $8, because it was so many years ago. But yeah, so like I had no idea what to do. Just made a ton of money.
Couple years later, you're making $1,200 a day. That's unbelievable.
Dude, it was dummy. 1 month I made like 64 grand.
That's just insane.
One day I made 11K. And I was like,
Ethan,
you kidding me?
What are we doing with our lives?
Sell merch, guys. Hey, guys.
My cameraman's going to quit after this.
Want this mug that I'm drinking out of? Go buy one. $10 mug. There you go.
Oh, man. I appreciate the plug. Yeah. Wow. So that's absolutely wild. That's probably one of the greatest stories we've ever had on Tim Talks, to be honest with you.
I'm glad I could laugh about it.
Yeah, I feel sick just hearing it, man.
Dude.
And so,
dude, it's so bad.
I have two follow-up questions. One's pure curiosity, and the other is leading into the next segment, I guess. So you said you made 550 grand.
Yes, sir.
And you had 130 grand saved up?
Yeah.
What happened to the other
380 or something, whatever?
Yeah.
Good question. I would frequently buy thousands of dollars of merch. So dude, I would let it rip. I mean, tens of thousands of dollars all the time on just shirts, hat pins, stickers.
That's wild.
Posters, keychains, pants, shoes, hoodies.
That's unbelievable.
Like whatever you can think of. Just like there's a ton of stuff in the Focus universe. I could go on with that little like rant of like what different things I made. Like, dude, so many different things.
Yeah.
And then tons of things for like freebies and stuff, giveaways, art supplies, and then my own glass collection.
Wow.
So that's actually how I got into glass.
Sure.
It's because if you don't know about art, the more money you have, the cooler stuff you can buy. Okay. So I had all this money and I was an artist and I was like, this is way more money than I need to live off of. Like just way more. I had a point where I was like, dude, if everything was 3 times as much as it is, like I'd be fine. It was so ridiculous. But so I had so much money and I was like, I like love glass stuff. So I've always been interested in glass art growing up, being a little 420 Blaze It kid. I was like, dude, glass is so cool. And around that time, people were making cooler and cooler glass pieces with crazier colors, more intricate designs, more cool stuff. So I began buying a bunch of glass art. And if you don't know, glass art can now fetch really high prices in the thousands, even tens of thousands. So I amassed a collection of like 20 or 30 grand of just like dope glass art.
Wow.
And then I bought a car too. I bought like a brand new, like that year, like fresh off the lot BRZ, those little like Subies, skirt around. Had just 0 miles, like just brand new. Just like I went in that day and I like left with it that day too. I like didn't even, I wanted it in like a different color, but I was like, I just want to drive home in this. So I'm just going to get it.
That is wild.
Dude, it's a different vibe when you have that much money. It's like really weird.
Yeah.
It's like when you see people who are like low-key kind of rich and like do weird things, it's you just kind of do weird things.
It's a different
you
lifestyle.
Like have so much money.
It's
like, let's go.
It sucks that it kind of like ended for you like that, right?
Oh, doesn't it?
But it does. It's like, I'm just thinking to myself, oh man.
Kind of sucks, right?
Yeah. That's an understatement. That's an understatement. Yeah. But it's also like kind of cool that you live that lifestyle. So my question is, why didn't you go back to it? Because you were super successful. Depends. I don't know what you make now, and you don't have to share that. You know, because maybe
less than that.
Okay. You know, maybe with glass blowing you're doing better. I don't know. But with pins, why did you stop with the pins?
Well, a few different reasons. I don't want to be overly prideful because the fact is I didn't just stop, you know. None of this was like, not much of this was totally in my control. I would have liked to have it like that and be the puppeteer of my life and be like, well, I can do all these things. But really it just started to not be totally in my control because I lost that edge of the mind state that got me there. Mm-hmm. When I got wrecked like that, I just lost that. It's just like a glacier breaking off into the ocean. I just lost that part of myself that was so gung-ho and like impenetrable. Like I just got checked.
Sure.
It was like an older kid in school checking you. It was like, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Like this is just a bigger entity than you having its way.
Yeah.
So,
oh man.
So, you know, I think the most honest answer is that I certainly like tried, I kind of fumbled and tried to be like, okay, well, this got me this far. Let's keep it rolling, guys. Like we can do this. But man, overhead was super high with all the things I had going.
Yeah.
The Facebook group of mine was getting entangled with itself.
Wow.
Which was a huge part of the success. I don't know how big Facebook groups are anymore because I'm no longer on Facebook. Shout out to Facebook if you're watching this on Facebook. But it used to be really useful because you could create groups, and I'm sure you still can. Yeah. But you could create groups for any little specific thing. So early-ish on in like the pin thing, I was like I was in the groups. That's how I got sort of it going. Is I was in general pin groups. And then I was like, yo, if I make a focused pin group, because I had enough at that point where it was, you know, if you have 40 pins or so and like, you know, 1,000 people buying them,
right?
That's enough to have a fun time.
A full business.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, guys. And I remember I was like, I've started the Focus Empire. And that was what the group was called, Focus Empire and, or Focused Empire. That's crazy. I don't even remember. But so that was like my own group where I could sort of puppeteer the hype.
Sure.
And boy, did I knew exactly how to run it because people love nothing more than like having something that someone else doesn't have.
Sure.
So I just played off of that and seeded lots of rare products into this group. It's of like piranha infested waters.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to throw much in those waters for people to just go absolutely crazy.
That's how Travis Scott sells his shoes.
Hey, I got a Travis Scott action figure. I got one of those from the
Wow.
first drop.
Wow.
You remember those?
So you're one, but you're one of them too.
Yeah, I know, right?
You feed right into it.
Your main thing was, why didn't I go back to pins, the
Yeah.
successful model that made me so much money? Well, yeah, I kind of tried. So I had this super awesome group that was ripping and just buying everything like crazy, but quickly became, I guess, political, but not traditionally political, just inner pin game political.
Yeah.
About the choices that I was making, which pins I made, how many of them I made, who I sold them to first.
Oh, I can see how they get murky really quickly.
Things got very murky, and I made it, and I created that universe in a way that was like ripe for that, because
Sure.
I made so many little niche, like it's almost a conglomerate of Easter eggs, like, you know, Easter
Yeah.
eggs where it's like a hidden thing that you unlock and things.
Yeah, yeah.
Focused universe is like, it's so many Easter eggs that there became to be like a lot of infighting on who's getting preferential treatment or rarer product that they can then resell for more. Because, like, for example, one pin that I sold for $50 resold for $500.
Wow.
So people actually were legitimately making some of their money to survive,
Off of
potentially
you.
for a year or more, months
Yeah.
on end, off of their participation in this group.
That's wild.
It wasn't just a buck here or there. It's like they could potentially afford a car payment
Yeah.
if they play the game right.
Right.
So I say that to help understand the mindset of some of these people who are participating in this. It's like,
Yeah.
it's not really a small deal. Like, if they get the right hype product from me, they might be able to afford a new car. or
Yeah.
something.
It's no longer
So-
a hobby. It's
Oh yeah.
it's life or death.
So yeah, so exactly.
Okay.
So we're a year in, a year and a half in, and it's not as fun for those people anymore. There's a ton of reselling competition. There's a ton of infighting. Just like any group, like imagine two of the head people, they don't like each other, but they're both in the
Yeah.
group, and it's just a
Just a
tough
mess.
thing. And
So you
I-
just had to step away from it at that point.
well, I kind of wish it had been that simple, but
Sure.
I kind of just tried to do my best with my limited knowledge of like people and
Yeah.
everything. I was like, this seems really complicated and like not really up my alley, but I kind of tried to mend some of the relationships. So I tried to be like a little more democratic about it, and like everybody gets the same treatment, you know?
Yeah.
And it was just a sinking ship. It was just
Sure.
really not working, because yeah. And that combined with the loss of confidence from the money.
Sure. Sure.
So the group's infighting and the huge loss of confidence, it was just like bad spiral where I couldn't keep it going.
Gotcha. Wow. Wow. Well, one last quick question.
Yeah.
Super quick.
Yeah.
What is one piece of advice or inspiration that you would leave us with for anyone who is wanting to start their own entrepreneurial endeavor?
Don't think today isn't the day. Today could be the day for you to go to that place, make that phone call, Google that thing, pay that bill, or buy something new, or whatever it may be. It's too easy to convince yourself that, like, wait till the situation's right. Wait till it comes to me, or wait for any of these things. You might be like right in front of it and you don't know it because you're not willing to take that step. So today could be the day that you got to make a decision or something to change your life.
That's awesome. I got chills.
Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go. Well, that's just fantastic. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Of course, Tim.
This is a guy, I hope that everyone out here is able to take away a lot from what he shared with us. It was a lot of really story based, and that's intentional because I want everyone out there to learn from the stories, from the successes and the failures of people who have made it. Because you have now made it. You're now a successful business person. You run your own business and you support your family off of it. So
Yep.
and you're doing well. So
Thank you, man. Thank you.
I hope everyone can take the lessons that Ben shared with us today and apply them if you are getting into that field for yourself as well, whatever it may be. Anything that you do that is owning your own business, whether you're something like myself where it's, real estate or lending or whatever, or if you own your own business and you sell, painted vans, right?
Yeah, you're exactly right.
It could be anything. So, thank you again, Ben, for your time and your wisdom.
Yeah,
and go follow him _BenFocus_ on Instagram. Check out his amazing artwork. We'll be back in just a few seconds with Ashley's Corner. But thanks again, Ben. And any final parting words?
Stay focused.
Stay focused. All right. Thank you. Okay, welcome back. We took a short break. Really cool to have Ben Focus on the show. Very interesting guy. I think we're going to need to have him on the show again because...
Please.
Yeah, because we did not have enough time to cover just everything he was talking about. It was incredible, some of his life story. And he was talking afterwards about, wanting to possibly make a documentary. And I was like, this dude, if there's anyone that could make a documentary, this dude definitely could.
Yeah.
Just from some of the stories that he was telling. It was unbelievable.
I'm so jealous. I wanted to hear him so bad.
Yeah, Ashley doesn't get to be in the room while we record. So she missed that. But, I mean, it will be released.
I will watch it.
Yeah.
I will watch it.
1 week from now. So we have a very short Ashley's Corner for you today, just because the segment with Ben was pretty long, but it was super interesting. So no regrets. But today I brought a few cool pieces of what the hell? I didn't even get it out of my mouth yet.
Go ahead.
Today, we brought some cool pieces of real estate trivia and fun facts that I'm going to share with Ashley, and it's going to absolutely blow her mind. Okay? Are you ready?
Yes.
Number 1, the smallest house in Great Britain is just 72 inches wide. Yeah.
72 inches wide?
Located in Conwy, Wales, the smallest house in Great Britain is measured 72 inches across, 122 inches high, and 120 inches deep. It was built in the 16th century. The most recent occupant was a fisherman named Robert Jones, who bought it in 1891 for $27 US. And he lived there happily for many years, despite being 6'3" tall.
That's a deal.
That is a deal. Really impressive, though. Okay. Okay, this is a really interesting fact here.
Okay.
Open houses used to last for 12 hours.
That is a really long time.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do in those 12 hours?
Back in the 50s, I guess this article is saying back in the 50s, as early or as recently as the 50s, because this doesn't seem like something anyone should ever be doing.
No.
Basically, real estate agents would be like hustlers, and they would like stand in front of the house like for 12 hours and try to sell it. And they would also run incentives for these houses. So in 1952, an agent in Dallas, Texas, offered free Coca-Cola to attendees and a Cadillac to whomever purchased the property.
Come on in, you could win.
Can you believe
Cadillac. Da-da-da.
A Cadillac. How does that offset? Like, doesn't that offset the profit of? That's wild. Okay, next one. Real estate wire fraud has caused losses of over $213 million.
Ooh.
That's why Ashley always has the wire fraud alert in her email bio. She doesn't want to.
I always wondered what that was, but
This is a good one. It's illegal to keep an alligator in your bathtub in Arkansas.
Good thing we're in Oregon.
It seems like the most Arkansas thing I've ever heard of. It is bad luck to give a knife as a housewarming gift. Superstition says that if you give a knife as a gift, you risk severing the friendship. The best way to give a knife as a housewarming gift is to tape a penny to the blade. This way, the recipient can take off the penny and hand it back to the giver. That way, they're paying you for the knife, and it's not technically a gift.
Okay.
This sounds like some of that voodoo mama juju that you'd be into.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I feel like you shouldn't give a knife as a gift for anything. Like, that just...
Yeah.
No? You say otherwise? Okay, if it's a sword, that's different. But a knife, like...
I would like a good, nice knife set.
Okay, well, maybe it's just me then. I would like a nice wine bottle, like...
Yes, but that's because you have alcohol problems.
Hey, my initials are AA for a reason.
Okay, New York requires.
Go ahead, New York.
What the hell is happening?
Go ahead.
Ethan, what's happening? New York requires sellers to disclose that their property is haunted.
So that it's haunted, not just that somebody died.
Yeah. Well, all right. Word of the day.
Peace.
Peace. Word of the day. Out.
There we go.
All right. Number?
4.
You did 4 last week.
Did I?
You definitely did.
It's one of my favorite
You
numbers.
did.
Okay,
You did.
we'll go with
I
17.
think you've done 4 3 weeks
4,
in a row.
4, 4.
I love that you just do it without giving it any thought. Just 4.
You told me to think of the first thing that comes to
Yeah.
mind.
My number is 33.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good number. Anything else?
Nope, I think that's it for today.
All right. Thank you so much for watching another episode of Tim Talks. Ashley's trying to control her laughter. I don't know. It's so funny. But this was a wonderful episode. Thank you for listening. If you are on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, please make sure to drop us a like or I can't get through this. Drop us a like or a follow or a comment. We're just going to throw this into the podcast. If you are on Instagram, please go ahead and give us a like. We're breaking down. I'm going to be myself. Ethan's dying. What is happening? I'm T-minus 30 seconds from passing out. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next week. Roll the outro music.